Welcome to the Knowledge for Men show. Your life will never be the same.
Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
I want to die empty of regret. I want to die empty of my best work. We don't understand who we are. Instead, we're living out somebody else's narrative.
What one man can do, another man can do. If it's been done, it can be done again.
Being yourself and being your truest, most authentic self in every moment. If it scares you or makes you a little afraid, do it. Follow your heart and your gut.
The first stage, I think, is finding you, like finding out who I am today.
Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail. Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success?
It's your life, and you are the creator of the movie script that is your life story.
Do you ever feel like you're doing the journey alone? Have you ever felt like that you just need someone to talk to, someone who could bring some perspective into your world? Or maybe you're not the type of person who learns from watching video courses or reading books, and you just want to talk with someone specifically about your challenges and how to break through them. I want to introduce you to the High Performance Men's Coaching Program. It's an intensive coaching experience designed to unlock a man's full potential in his life, business, and relationships. Over this past year, I've brought together and trained some of the best coaches in the world to help men step up, stop playing small, and become the strongest versions of themselves. Learn more about High Performance Men's Coaching at kfmcoach.com. Again, that's kfmcoach.com. You are not alone, and we are here to cut through the crap, hold you accountable, and challenge you so that you can make your dreams become a reality. Go to kfmcoach.com to learn more and apply. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm here with Anthony DiClementi. He's an executive health and fitness coach, biohacker, and specialist in functional medicine. He teaches uncommon strategies to improve energy, cognition, mood, fat loss, and physical performance. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Andrew. I'm excited.
All right, Anthony, let's dive in. What kind of success quote or maybe a saying, what do you got for us? How has this helped you? What does it mean to you? Share with us what you got.
Yeah, well, I'll share it, and then we'll have a little chat about it. This one is, I love quotes, but I keep coming back to this one multiple times throughout my life and revisiting it just because it's so powerful, and it's from our man Teddy Roosevelt.
All right.
It's called "The Man in the Arena."
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure you've had it shared before.
No, it's a classic though. Go.
Yeah. So it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Boom.
Boom.
Powerful quote. Yeah, it's been said, but I don't think anyone's actually read the entire quote. Usually people just go, okay, you guys get it. And
yeah,
I'm glad you read the entire quote. Now, what does that mean to you?
You know what? I think that it's so easy in this day and age of information overload to mistake the accumulation of knowledge, the accumulation of information, rather, as actually doing something. And it's handicapping many of us from actually taking the action that we need to transform our lives. And what we need more than anything, we actually need to think less and do more and step into the arena and be willing to fail. And, when someone comes back from a ski trip and they tell you, I tried skiing for the first time and I didn't even fall down. Well, the first thing that I think is that, well, you didn't try hard enough runs. And I think that parallels in life in many situations. So think less, do more, become obsessed with massive action, and be willing to fail, because it is those failures that ultimately allow us to succeed.
I feel like we try and learn so much and consume so much knowledge. Knowledge for Men's, my podcast, so that we can prevent failure. I think we are trying to learn so that we don't have to experience failure. I think failure, it's a strike to our core, especially as men. We don't want to fail, so we want to keep learning. If I learn, then I will reduce my failure. But by not actually stepping into the arena at all, you have already failed.
Couldn't agree more. And I think that one of the greatest personal development tools for high performance is recognizing where our thoughts and actions are coming from. And I believe you can, if you were to oversimplify things, all of our thoughts, actions, behaviors come from one of two places. It's either coming from a place of love or a place of fear. And to develop the awareness and the radical honesty that it takes to really know where you're coming from is challenging. And it's something that comes with time and repetition. But if you find yourself operating from a place of fear, like you said, am I reading this because I think that by arming myself with this knowledge, it's going to protect me from failure? Well, then you're coming from a place of fear, and that is a place of weakness. And conversely, if you're coming from a place of love because you want more love in your life, because you're trying to develop yourself for those purposes, because you want to elevate your love for yourself, and you know that looking better in the mirror is going to help you to achieve that, well, then you're headed the right direction. And it's really categorizing. Are you coming from a place of fear? Or are you coming from a place of love? Catching yourself when you're coming from a place of fear and redirecting those thoughts, actions, and behaviors into a more empowering place.
Yeah, that's interesting that if we are trying to continue to learn, and maybe buying books, or online courses, or going to events, after a certain point, it's like, whoa, what's going on there? Why have you not just done step A, done the first step here? And you saying that, hey, are you coming from a place of fear by trying to learn to prevent the failure? Yeah, I think when you put it like that, I think it really helps us get a little bit more clarity into why someone, or maybe perhaps it's someone listening to this right now, is in that. It's like almost like a hamster wheel where you just, because there's an endless sea of knowledge. And then what's interesting is the author, if you're buying books, I always buy, I read a ton. I also take a lot of action. The content doesn't stop. It just keeps coming.
It's never ending.
It's never ending.
It's just going to keep getting, it's going to continue to grow exponentially with the internet and the world becoming more and more flat. Wyatt Woodsmall said something years ago that really resonated with me. And he said, it was something along the lines of, unless information leads to behavioral change, you haven't learned anything. It's just information. It doesn't become knowledge until it changes your behavior. And more specifically, it won't change your life until it changes something you do daily. And I paraphrased all of that, but the idea is the same.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we often hear knowledge is power, and it is so much, applied knowledge is where true power is. And obviously, I put out this podcast. It's Knowledge for Men. I have a ton of content. I'm sure you do, Anthony, on your website. And for all those who are feeling like, hey, that was all I needed here, I mean, you don't have to listen to every episode I put out. You don't even have to listen to this show. You can just listen to one or two, get what you need, and take action in the real world. I don't know if too many other podcasters say that, but I'd rather you go out and be in the arena than someone who is constantly listening as what we have just talked about out of fear.
Completely agree. And if you're listening right now, and you know that there is one thing that you've been meaning to do, something that you've been wanting to integrate into your life that you know would be a high leverage habit. Maybe that's like working out every morning, even if it's just getting outside and going for a jog and doing some push-ups and squats or something like that, but you haven't got around to doing it. Turn this off and go do that right now. Stop, take a 20-minute break from your job or whatever you're doing. Go move your body, take immediate action, make a plan that for the next 30 days, you're not going to listen to any podcasts, mine, this one, any other one. And you're just going to do that every morning. And I guarantee your life will be better than if you just continue to consume information. And yeah, I mean, I tell many clients, I see it almost as an addiction now. I don't know if you've recognized the same thing, but so many clients are like, oh, I can't wait to get home and read your book or listen to your podcast. And I'm like, no, what you need to do is stop doing all of that and just implement the game plan that we put together, because that's going to get you a lot further than continuing to consume information at this point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to get now into peak performance.
Yeah.
The psychology of a peak performer. And how does that differ from someone who is just performing, the average person? What are the differences between a peak performer and, let's just say, like a pretty good average performer?
I think there are two main things that come to mind. One is a willingness to be uncomfortable, and not just a willingness to be uncomfortable, but a physical and intentional pursuit of discomfort. Because as Neil Donald Walsh said in his book, great book, Conversations with God, all change happens outside of our comfort zone. And high performers, they don't just have a greater tolerance for discomfort, whether that's workouts or otherwise, just doing things that are not part of their current routine, but they choose to pursue those avenues and try to stay there as long as they can. And that's really where we transform. And then the other thing is an execution of the right daily habits and consistency. A lot of people know what they should be doing, but they haven't yet built out a daily routine that fosters that success. And there's many things that can get in the way. One, as we've already covered, is the accumulation of information. But putting together a daily routine, an action plan, habits that are strategically going to make the first 90 minutes of your day where you're primed, you're in a state of gratitude, you visualize what you want to achieve that day, you know the type of person that you want to be when you look back on your life, and you're going to operate from that perspective. And then you have the specific habits to help bridge the gap from where you are now to where you want to be, while at the same time you're taking action, but you're not taking action based on a desire for your life to be different than it is. You are happy and grateful for where your life is, but you are taking action knowing that those behaviors are going to elevate things further.
It's difficult to do. As humans, I believe we naturally want complacency. I believe we want what is we want to be comfortable. We want what is known. This is what we want. It feels safe. How do we go against that and push ourselves to do something that our mind and body don't want to do?
I did a video the other day just on Facebook having fun, and I said the single greatest habit that you can develop to optimize your physical and mental performance is the habit of doing the thing you know you should even when you don't want to. And it's practice and it's discipline. And discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the more you flex that muscle, the more weight you put upon it, the stronger it becomes. And it starts with the small decisions and it builds from there. But it's almost operating as your own coach and separating yourself from the emotion of, I don't want to do this. I don't really like working out. I don't really like, I'm just giving examples here. Oh, I like eating burgers better than eating salads, or whatever it is. How you feel about something. Are we allowed to curse on this? I don't know.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I mean, if you're emphasizing a point, go for it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, but how you feel about something doesn't fucking matter. It only matters if you do it. Did you get it done or did you not? Ultimately, that's what's going to affect your life. And too often we get caught up on we're waiting for motivation. And what we really need to do is just you do the thing and then you get the energy to do the thing. If you wait for the energy to work out, you're going to miss a lot of workouts. But if you go and you just put on your shoes, you get to the gym and you start moving, usually the energy is there after 5-10 minutes. And that's kind of what it is. It's learning to operate and execute from that. Here's what I know I should do. I'm going to do it anyway, even though I don't want to.
I was reading a book called The Joy of Living Dangerously. And he talked about, this quote, I took a picture of it, and I just finished this book yesterday, and he says, to live dangerously means to live. If you don't live dangerously, you don't live. Living flowers only in danger. Living never flowers in security. It flowers only in insecurity. He goes on and talks about how the only time that man actually comes alive is when he is in a state of discomfort, when he enters the unknown, when he is at risk of loss. And I think it blends so well with the man in the arena quote and what we're talking about here.
Yeah, we're so separated right now from the natural order of things. 10,000 years ago, we're fighting for survival on a daily basis. And we didn't need to meditate because if you weren't focused, you're getting snatched up by a saber-toothed tiger. And today we have all of these creature comforts. And what's missing are these acute stressors on our lives, these moments where if you're not tuned in and focused and aware, you're going to lose your life. So we have to try to compensate by meditating and training that focus that comes with putting ourselves in danger, riding motorcycles, sparring, mixed martial arts, boxing, whatever it is, whatever your dangerous thing is. I mean, Andrew Huberman, the professor of neurobiology at Stanford, he's a big boxer, which sounds counterintuitive that the professor of neurobiology at Stanford would be taking shots to the head. But it's because of that trade-off. It's because of the increased awareness and the acetylcholine dump that comes when we put our bodies in physical harm. And if we're seeking out air conditioning and eating foods that only make us feel good, and we're never going hungry, and we're never putting ourselves in cold environments or hot environments for that matter, or sweating, or forcing our body into these situations where we are under acute stress, it actually harms us in the long run, although it may feel better in the short term.
What would you say are some common mistakes that people make around this idea of being able to pursue what is uncomfortable, pursuing the unknown? Because as we've discussed, it's not normal. It's not exactly what we aspire to do. It's more of a learned behavior.
I think I would say know thyself, know your body, train enough where you can tell when you are overtraining and when you are undertraining. Because what most people are missing, again, is the consistency, right? When you have the consistency, you can modify your approach and you can correct course. But if you are constantly starting and stopping, if you've lost 100 pounds, but it's really just the same 10 pounds 10 times over, it's very difficult to correct course and modify your behavior. So many people find themselves either undertraining or overtraining, not finding that sweet spot. Even when they're doing their cardiovascular exercise, they're in this no man's land where it's kind of hard, but it's not high intensity, and it's also not like slow, steady state. It's just it's in this middle ground that is actually worse than if they were at either end of the spectrum. Moving long distances at a slow, steady pace, or exercising at an extreme high intensity, 95, 100% of their max heart rate. And first, you bring the consistency. If you know that healthy human beings have movement as a part of their daily routine, then start with that and commit that you're going to do something every day, that you're going to sweat every day, ideally outside, and ideally in a way that that builds a bigger aerobic engine first and foremost, but then also builds strength and mobility and proper biomechanics. And then when you are doing that, then you can tweak things. And just constantly finding those situations where you are uncomfortable. It could be as simple as seeing a cute girl at a bar and you normally would just stare at her like a creep and not do anything. Well, go up to her. And even if you crash and burn, reward yourself for that rather than having this expectation of how you want the scenario to play out and what the outcome should be. You reward yourself for taking the action you should, and despite whatever outcome transpired.
Absolutely. Yeah, really releasing the outcome and giving yourself success for the action that you took. Therefore, you are in control of whether or not you are a success or not. Just that's how I see that situation, and so many others, whether it's in business and health or even dating perhaps. So
you touched on something important there, and I don't mean to cut you off. I know we're transitioning topics, and before we do, I think what you said is really powerful. And in case I just want to reiterate it. Taking 100% responsibility for everything in your life is a huge part of becoming empowered and living better. And even if something does not seem like it's your fault, when you blame a situation or you blame someone else, you are giving your power away. And it is only when we accept responsibility for everything that we are truly empowered and able to take our lives to that next level.
Do you think people may not want to fully accept responsibility because then it's all on them?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, we all do it. I do it too. All this stuff, like when you and I are chatting here, I don't want to come across like, oh, I've got my shit together and that's why I'm spewing advice. You know what I mean? Like these are things that maybe you do, but these are things that we all struggle with. And it's every day, every morning, the battle must be fought anew. But having the knowledge and the awareness to operate based on what you know you should be doing is a key stepping stone in that personal development process.
No, it's a battle every day. I don't know about me. It's a battle every day to do this. Even this will be episode 300 and something. I still feel like I'm struggling to interview. I'm still feel like I'm, trying to put things together and make it a good show. I'm wondering if people still find this content engaging after 300 episodes. Like I'm constantly still like trying to fight to make sure that, this is all worked out. Now,
Andrew, you're doing a great job, and I'm very engaged and enjoying myself. So there's at least one.
Yes. All right. And Anthony, I think we're getting a lot of people really excited and motivated. I mean, and that's not really the goal. We're not here to motivate people, but I think it is just an end result, an unexpected result of us talking about these ideas here. And so guys will go off and take action. Guys will go off and start moving towards some goals or doing some sort of 30-day challenge or pushing themselves in, back into something that they let go. However, I have found that the person I am today, right now, this whatever the date is in 2016
September.
Yeah. Well, this will probably go live in a few weeks later, but it's not going to be the me 3 months from now. It'll be different. And it's like you could ask a guy, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? And right now he'll be like, hell yeah, I'm going to do it. And then 3 months from now, he's not doing it.
3 months. Yeah.
And
most of us struggle to make it 3 weeks.
3 days. So let's talk about the plateau. When you're excited, you're motivated, you take on new action, you're totally focused, you're dedicated, and you actually start getting results. And you're doing it. You think you've got life figured out, or at least this thing figured out. And then boom, you hit this wall where no more results. No more. It's as far as you get. And it's this dreadful, it's like a wasteland. You're like walking in the desert, and you're thirsty, there's no water, and you're just like hoping every step is like another day that eventually you're going to get your next breakthrough. But a lot of people can die in that wasteland. I mean, I'm talking about the skill set, the goal, the dream. And I think the plateau, if we can break and master the plateau, we can really master that goal.
Yeah. So I think that there's three main takeaways that I have from that in order to either avoid these plateaus or blast through them like paper walls when encountered.
Right.
And I think the first starts with what we expect and accept in our lives. And meaning that a lot of times we will say, let's say someone weighs 200 pounds and they'll say, I want to weigh 180 pounds. But in their mind, they are okay if they're under 200. They just want to be like under 200. They're saying one thing, but in their mind, what they're accepting, what they're willing to tolerate is very different. And I think that can contribute to plateaus, because what we see happening with these patterns is, let's say someone's trying to lose weight. They're 200, 210 pounds. Every time they get to 195, they hit a plateau. Well, what also happens at 195 is they start sneaking in some Skinny Cow ice cream sandwiches a couple times a week. And they start skipping some of the morning workouts. And so this plateau is not necessarily it's in part a lack of execution, but that lack of execution is due to internal expectations and not setting high enough standards for our lives. So I think it all begins with setting a really fucking high standard for yourself and holding yourself to it, and kind of taking that succeed or die trying mentality. It is only, when you Hernan Cortez burn the ships, that you're free to really move forward. And that doesn't happen until you commit and say, this is what I'm going to achieve, and I'm not going to deviate from the game plan until I do. So that's part of it. Now, let's say this is someone that has those high expectations. They are unwilling to accept anything less. They're executing their game plan and they're still not there. Well, I think there are a few things that can help. Hiring a coach, like you and I were talking about offline. Finding someone who has achieved the results that you want for yourself and hiring them. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaches, and I'm not even exaggerating, programs, working with people one-on-one, masterminds, and I would spend almost every dime of it over again. If you know that the coach that you're working with genuinely has the knowledge to take you to that next level, it's the greatest investment that you can make. And sometimes it's not what we don't know that hurts us. It's what we I'm going to misquote Mark Twain here, but it's what we believe to be true that just ain't so. And
break that down. I think that's a big concept there.
Yeah, it's not that there's information out there that we don't yet have. It's something that we're operating based on knowledge that we believe to be true, but it's incorrect. And that's what's really keeping us stuck. And sometimes hiring a coach, hiring an expert that you're like, you know what? I am doing everything. And I'm not like, I get this all the time from one-on-one clients. They're like, I am doing everything I should be doing to get lean, and I cannot get a six-pack no matter what. Or I am still far more tired than I should be on a daily basis. I work my ass off. I come home and my kids want to play with me and I just don't have any more gas in the tank, and I'm doing everything right. And then when we really dive deep into what they're doing, they're operating on a whole bunch of misinformation. And that's where it can be beneficial to hire a coach. And I'm not saying this, I'm not like hire me. I mean, our enrollment director, Eddie's flooded right now. So I'm not trying to talk that up. I'm saying hiring someone who is an expert in whatever area, if it's your business, if it's your relationships, if it's your health, whatever, hiring a coach can point out some of those things that you may think to be true that just aren't so.
Yeah, I think that it's an old tradition that is now lost, such as the whole apprentice master. If you're trying to pursue something, clearly it makes sense that you should work with someone who has that result and who's willing to help you, and created a system to help you get those results, and then has proven results from other people he's worked with. It just is like, what? That exists? Yes, it exists all across. And I feel like sometimes as men, because if you look at the personal development industry, like women naturally dominate it. From my experience of having done this for many years, when I go to events, like I often find that men are so I've been to events and sometimes I'm one of the few men at the event. It's more on the personal growth side of things. And
what are these events, Andrew? I'd like to attend them.
These are like retreats, and in the middle of nowhere. No. What I'm saying is that women, I feel like, are more open to the idea of asking for help. And yep. I feel like for men, it can be a challenge to say, hey, I need help, because we like to figure shit out on our own. And if we can't figure it out, we don't like to admit that we haven't figured it out yet. It's still in progress. But that in progress, hey, I'm in progress right now, can take years or decades, and or you'll likely give up once you hit that plateau. So I feel like for men, it's that ego. It's that masculine ego that says, I'm going to figure this out. And that's a very good skill set, but why not figure it out with someone who's already figured it out?
Yep. Yeah. A great metaphor for that I've found is I love watching mixed martial arts and fighting. And a great metaphor for that is a willingness to get your ass kicked and still so my business partner, Russell, he took second in the country in high school when he was wrestling. And then he was All-American at, I believe, Boise State. And then before that, BYU, Brigham Young. And whenever I'm in town and we work out at like 6 a.m. before we bang out stuff all day, at the end of our workouts, we'll wrestle. And I'm going into these wrestling matches knowing I'm about to get my ass handed to me.
Right.
But I think that in life, you need to be willing to get your ass handed to you, and you need to be willing to put yourself in a position to at least assess where you are. Like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. How much can you really know about yourself if you've never been in a fight? And a lot of guys will avoid all scenarios where they could possibly lose, when in fact the very thing that we need is to lose, or at least not necessarily to lose, but at least to know where we're at. And then, because that gives us a data point from which we can jump off and know where our next level is.
Which is then coming back to just get in the arena.
Get in the arena. Get in the arena,
and you're gonna.
Are you still listening to this podcast? You better be fucking out for a run or something.
Yeah, just getting in the arena is like, the arena is your training ground for life. And if you're in the stands, you're just watching people who are in the arena, but the arena is open to everyone. There's no permission. There's no rules or height requirements or age requirements or level of income requirements or race requirements to get in the arena. The arena is open and it's free. Like, you can get in, and it's a beautiful place. And I think it's the only place where you can truly know who you are and become the most powerful version of yourself.
Yep.
A few things on elite athletes. So do you work with elite athletes? What is your background with this?
Yeah, I've worked with, I'm not sure how this happens. I think there's a lot of weird law of attraction stuff that takes place that is outside of my conscious awareness. But when we started doing this, and in the Biohacker's Guide, I don't really talk about MMA or anything like that. I maybe mentioned Brock Lesnar at one point because his career ended early because of diverticulitis, and it was like in the digestion section or the gut dysfunction section or something like that. But we've had a lot of elite MMA athletes approaching us, guys in the UFC and that have wanted to start working together and biohacking some things there. I've worked with members of the U.S. women's national soccer team and some more like world-class athletes in some other more fringe type sports. What do they look?
Well, there's a lesson right there, which we've been talking about this whole time, is world-class athletes are still asking for help.
And they're looking for that 1%. Because that 1% is like that can be the difference between winning and losing. It can be the difference between hitting that game-winning shot and not.
Gold and bronze, yeah.
Yep. It could be the difference between recovering from your workout fast enough so that you're working out again the next day versus needing to take a rest day. And that same mentality parallels to our lives. It's like that mindset that the training never stops and there is always a higher, more evolved version of yourself out there if you are willing to pursue it, if you're willing to put in the hard work, and if you are unwilling to settle for anything less.
Yeah, absolutely. Having worked with these world-class athletes, what does their mindset look like towards their craft? You're working with them, trying to help them get to that 1%, but just having been around them, what have you learned from them?
The biggest differentiator is that a lot of these guys, they thrive on structure and routine. Yeah. Every day is somewhat similar. So where the challenge with more of the high-level executives and entrepreneurs is, how do I work this stuff into my daily routine while also running a multi-million-dollar business, having kids, keeping my wife happy, so on and so forth. These athletes are like, this is my life. Here's what my routine looks like. How can you take me to the next level? What do you see are opportunities for me to improve? So it's just different. With them, it's more gathering of data, identifying bottlenecks, and figuring out what are the small, high leverage activities that are going to produce disproportionately large changes in their performance. And with a lot of executives and entrepreneurs, it's helping them to build the routine, the mindset, the discipline, and of course, making sure that routine is based around, again, the highest leverage activities, which may be different than they would be for someone that's, trying to, about to go into a 5-round championship fight.
Right. Have you read, I think it's called Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield?
I love Stephen Pressfield.
Or is it War of Art? But anyways, he talks about the difference between the amateur and the professional. And he says the amateur is always waiting until they're like 100%, until they can perform, such as like their body's 100%, then I can perform, then I can do the best. The professional knows that he will never be 100% in terms of he will have to show up injured, and he will have to perform and do his work regardless of how he feels, if he's injured or not. And I just thought that was huge mindset shift. And the professional doesn't have an excuse.
It's so true too. All of those guys, those fighters they're going into fights injured. It's something. They're never 100%.
They're never 100%.
Yeah, Stephen Pressfield. He has another one. I mean, I love all of his stuff. If you guys haven't read Stephen Pressfield, the War of Art, Do the Work, Turning Pro, all of those are great. He says he has one that I sometimes use with clients, and it's preparing to do work is not fucking doing work. And you see that so much where someone's like, I'm just playing the advocate, the devil's advocate here. They're listening. Right. They're like, you know what? Andrew's right. I need to get my ass in gear. I need to start working out again. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to get a gym membership today. I'm not going to work out today, but I'm going to go get the membership. I'll put the money down. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Get the gloves and
I'm gonna get the gloves. I'm gonna get
supplements.
I'm
What's the
gonna
best
order some stuff on
supplement?
Amazon. Yeah.
What's the best
I'm gonna hop on YouTube. I'm gonna put together a real badass fat burning workout, and I'm gonna script that out so that when I do hit the gym tomorrow, tomorrow's a little bit busy, but maybe 2 days from now when I hit the gym, I'm gonna be ready. I'm like, no, just throw on your shoes and go do something. Then if you want to run to the gym, then buy your gym membership. You know what I mean? Something like that. And like, I'm not trying to be like a big proponent of running and jogging here. Just example, like do the work. Don't mistake preparation for work as actually doing the work. Don't mistake information accumulation as the gathering of knowledge, the amassing of knowledge.
Yeah, I think that's a common mistake that we can all get caught up in on any new venture, and it's easy to get sucked into that, especially because the media is really good at getting your attention. I mean,
but where's that coming from? When we start watching the news, are we watching from a place of love, or are we watching from a place of fear?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then as soon as it's all fear mongering, right? And my brother lived in Egypt for the past 8 years, and we would see all of these chaotic stories of the disarray that country was in. And I would call my brother, and he's like, your news is completely ridiculous. It's nothing like that here. He's like, he goes, they just try to scare you guys to make everything so that you watch their stuff. He's like, it's not nearly that bad. And that's what really comes back to meditation is a great way to train this, but being aware of, am I operating from a place of love or a place of fear? And if you're watching the news because you're terrified Zika is going to get your baby or something, like you're coming from a place of fear.
I think a good question to ask yourself is, have you ever, or social media applies to this as well, have you ever just like gotten off your phone, you had a good Instagram session and just been like, you know what, like you just felt really good about yourself, or like that was just so good, like I can't believe all that happened, I can't believe I did it, or just anything with the media. Have you ever been you'd binge on that stuff 15-20 minutes and just been like, oh, that's so good. I did it today.
That post is great. I can't wait to see how many likes I get, how many shares I get. Is that what you're referring to? Like the kind of like ego-based social media behavior, or are we talking about something else? I'm
talking about that, and just browsing and just looking at other people, and then all of a sudden it's 20 minutes gone by and you just lost, what happened? Like you just looked at like a cat, and then you looked at your friend get married or remarried.
Yep. And it's hard too, because you got your friends and family members sending you shit, and
it's like, good, and it's really good. Like it's good
funny.
content.
You watch it, and it's great. Yeah, that's one of the hard things. Like I can't start. I have a very addictive personality. I'm an extremist by nature, so like I can't keep junk food in the house because why? Because I eat it all. I'm not one of those guys that like, if you give me 10 dark chocolate bars, like tomorrow I'm going to have 0 dark chocolate bars. It's not like I can just pace one a day or a half a day. That's not my personality. And similarly, if I jump on social media and I start looking at people's profiles, next thing you know, it's like an hour later and I'm like, what have I been doing besides like feeling substantially less adequate about my own achievements? Right. You almost can't start. So
I feel the same way about Game of Thrones. Like I don't watch it because I know that I'm going to have to watch it all because I already know it's good. I know it's amazing. There's so many. Yeah. I love Lord of the Rings. That means I'm likely to like this. And I know it's good, but I can't start because I know I'm going to have to devour and sit down and watch all of them. The same thing with like Walking Dead and all these great shows that are made by experts at keeping your attention and that have massive budgets to do so. And I know I may have lost a few listeners just by saying that. But the truth is, and I'm not saying that anything's bad about that. I'm just holding self-discipline around things I know that I want to do, but that aren't necessarily going to help me with where I want to go.
For sure. I think that's very intelligent. I mean, you're beginning knowing that, okay, how many seasons are there of Game of Thrones?
I think
now?
there's
8?
7 or 8, yeah.
Something. There's like a ridiculous, I think they've like caught up to the books. You're like, okay, so if I start this, I know I'm going to like it. There's 8 seasons. This isn't even something I can binge watch and like, bang out 8 episodes and I'm all caught up like Stranger Things. There's 1 season, there's 8 episodes. I just binge watch that in like a week. I'm good. I'm done. There's nothing else, but like
until next season, you're done. Until next season.
Yeah. And then productivity is going to come to a standstill. So I got to get a lot done before then. But yeah, I think that's smart of you to know that. Like, I know that I would guess heroin is really enjoyable and I would probably like it a lot. So, but it would also ruin my life. So I'm never going to try it. It's like,
you can say that about certain women too. If you can identify like, hey, this is a woman, I like her a lot. This is a woman though that destroys me 10 years from now. I need to withhold what I want to do and keep walking.
Yes.
But there are those situations. All right, let's dive into the knowledge round. I'm just going to ask you a few more questions here in the knowledge round. So Anthony, are you ready for the knowledge round?
I think so.
So you might be wondering, why would I ever invest in a coach? I've never done anything like that before. Well, it's going to shorten your learning curve and save you the time that it would take to achieve your goal. You can avoid making mistakes that you would otherwise make. You'll get more results because everything will be tailored to your specific needs and challenges. The coach will hold you accountable so you can't procrastinate, so you can't be lazy, so you can't say, I didn't have the time. You'll be challenged and pushed harder than you've ever been pushed. You'll have conversations so powerful that you'll feel more energized, alive, and confident and certain about the goals that you have in front of you and where you want to go. Most importantly, where you want to be. You'll go farther than you've ever gone before when you have a coach. If you want to learn more about our high performance men's coaching program, go to kfmcoach.com. Again, that's kfmcoach.com to learn more about our high performance men's coaching program. You have got to understand that every successful person in the world invests in coaching to go from good to great. And if you're already a high achiever, then how much more could you achieve if you had a high performance men's coach at your side to push you even further? Go to kfmcoach.com to learn more and apply for our high performance men's coaching program. Again, that's kfmcoach.com. Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime. So what advice would you give to someone who's feeling really lost and unsure of their purpose?
Get back to think about what you really loved doing as a child and start incorporating more of those things into your weekly routine. That was probably when we know ourselves. There's not anything that we need to learn or do. We're born with an understanding of who we are and the type of person we want to become. That evolves as we accumulate life experience. But if you feel lost right now, think back to a time in your life when you didn't feel lost, and it was probably when you were younger. And think about what your passions were then, what you really enjoyed, what made you happy, and start doing more of those things. Take control of your health. And a great place to do that with self-promotion here is biohackersguide.com. Get my free book. We'll send it anywhere in the world for like $7 shipping, and just devour it as fast as you can. Give yourself set the clock for like half an hour and tear through as much of the book as you possibly can. As soon as you've got the highest leverage activities that you need to execute, just stop reading and do those and start building some momentum as your health comes back, as you start doing more things that bring you joy, as you follow your bliss, you will start to rediscover your path.
All right. And what do you think is really holding most men back from becoming their strongest selves?
Fear and their health. Consuming foods that they think are good for them, or maybe that they know are not good for them, that are draining them of their energy and life force, without sounding too esoteric.
And what would you say are 3 of your most influential books that have helped you on your journey? And briefly, why?
Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect. And tied with that is Jeff Olson, The Slight Edge. Similar concept. It's just that idea of that Japanese Kaizen principle, constant improvement, getting a little bit better every single day and building upon your routine. So we'll count that as 1. I loved Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, especially for integration of the law of attraction into becoming a wealthier, more successful version of yourself. And third one, I'm really enjoying Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God right now. That's a big one. Or, I like all of this stuff by Abraham Hicks. I like all their programs that focus a lot on the law of attraction. Yeah.
Next scenario here is, imagine you had 60 seconds with 25-year-old Anthony. If you can envision where he's at personally, professionally, financially, relationships, all that jazz, and you could sit down and talk with him, what would you tell him to do? What would you tell him not to do?
In terms of relationships, I would tell him, do not waste energy pursuing relationships where you know from the get-go that it is not going to work. I think a lot of times I pursued women that I was attractive to, knowing full well that after the physical aspect was gone, there was not going to be much there. And I think that was a lot of wasted time and energy. In terms of health, I mean, your health is your greatest asset. And I wasted so much money on dumb things. Like we're so willing to go out and spend 30 grand on a car, but like we won't pay, a few grand for health coaching and things like that. It's like, what? Your home is your body. It's not your house. It's not your car. Like your home's your body. Take care of yourself. That's what's going to affect your ability to earn money, your ability to contribute, your ability to fully experience life on the highest level. And so that health is your foundation. Don't take it for granted. And I think that's something that I did take for granted as well. And when you're healthy, it's a lot easier to follow your passion and do the things that bring you joy. And when you're doing that, that's when you are able to contribute to the lives of other people and earn the type of living that you want.
Yeah. Is that your philosophy for success?
I guess, maybe. I just, back of the napkin, just spewing stuff out here as we chat.
Sometimes those are the best pieces of wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And if you had to put it together, like, what do you think your philosophy for success would be?
I've always considered myself I'm rarely the smartest guy in the room. And like you and I talked about, if you are the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong fucking room. But what I do is I have a willingness to work as hard or harder than anybody else. And I think what I lack in some areas, I make up for in hard work and just dogged determination. Like almost relentlessness to the point of stupidity, where like any sane person would have quit a long time ago. I'm willing to go for like another couple years. And we were talking with one of the guys on our team that runs Facebook ads, and we were just, we were looking at our numbers with the book and like how many people are picking up the free book offer every month. And he was like, what's funny? He's like, people are going to see this and they're going to think like, holy cow, Anthony's like this overnight success. And he's like, and I'm like, yeah, they don't realize that I've been like getting my ass kicked for years and years behind the scenes, but no one sees that. They just see like, once things start taking off, they're like, wow, Andrew's got the Knowledge for Men podcast. He's done over 300 episodes and like had so much success. But I would assume, and please correct me if I'm wrong, like you probably got your ass kicked for years trying to figure out how to do this stuff and how to put information out there and how to reach people. And like, it's those battles that are won in darkness that allow us to step into the light.
Absolutely. And this, what you said brought up that quote, not that quote, but Will Smith said it. He's like, hey, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but before you put two people on a treadmill, I'm going to die on the treadmill. I'm not going to get off. That's how I win.
Yeah. And it's far too often we quit way before the success that we desire even has an opportunity to come to us. And it's like, it's not until you approach something with that 50 cent, get rich or die trying, or like make it happen or die trying attitude that you're really free to make it happen. If you're like, oh, I'm going to give this a shot, I'm going to test the water and see how it goes. If you're tire kicking, if you're dipping your toe in the water, don't waste your time. Just move on to something else right now.
No, I think the same too, man, is true with relationships. If you just got one foot in the water and you're trying to get into a relationship, it's going to fail because you're not committed to the relationship. You're not even in it. Your foot is in it. She's marrying your foot.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't actually get your whole heart. She gets your foot.
I don't have particularly sexy feet either. That's a bad scenario for me. No, I walk around barefoot a lot. But yeah, especially in this swiping age, you've got Bumble and Tinder and Happen and all of that. It's like,
oh, what? I didn't know about that. Let me download that one. I didn't hear about it.
If you're single, you got to get yourself some Happen.
Damn. All right.
I actually met my current girlfriend on Happen.
Happen, man. What is this? The new? So it's Tinder's the first one, and then I think Bumble and Happen. Is that new age? This is 2000 version 3 of the dating apps.
Yeah. So Happen is only for people that have some sort of birth defect. Like it could be like I have 3 testicles. She has. No, I'm totally kidding.
there was like 5 guys listening who were like, finally
another one. Yeah. No, it happens. It uses geographical, the location services, and if like a girl has downloaded Happen and you've downloaded Happen, like let's say you go to like Whole Foods. Like if you ever walked into Whole Foods, at least the one by me in Chicago and River North, you walk in, it's just, there's like beautiful women everywhere, right? And Happen, you'll then like open up the Happen app and it will pair you with people that you've been in close proximity to.
So it tries to reduce the approach, like the cold approach, because it's like, oh, hey, you're obviously looking for to meet someone. Hey, me too.
Yeah, like Aziz Ansari wrote this book. I forgot the name of his book, but he was talking about how one of the biggest determining factors in people who get married and, you know, spend the rest of their lives together has always been proximity, geographical proximity. And like 100 years ago, it was like people would marry like someone that lived in their building,
right,
and stuff. And I think with how spread out everything is, and with like the digital age, what Happen kind of does is it takes that same concept and is like, hey, you're going to a lot of the same places as this girl. Do you think she's cute?
Yeah.
And if she also thinks you're cute, then you get paired up.
Yeah. So a lot of places you go to. So when you're at the strip club and then all of a sudden your Happen just goes off like crazy. It's like,
clean it up at the strip club.
It's like it seems like you go to this spearmint place often. There's also other women.
Yeah, and it's
okay. It sounds like we're promoting I think because guys are probably downloading the app. It sounds like we work for them, doesn't it?
Yeah, affiliate code biohacks
/KFM
/KFM.
Okay, cool. So I think some guys are going to check that out. But all in all, this has been a powerful episode about, I mean, we literally talked for almost an hour about just getting in the arena and how to stay in the arena.
Yeah.
That was one point.
It's more important and more powerful than any of the specific how-to information. Is just getting out there and doing it.
Oh man, the dogs are out. So
yeah, no, sorry. It's a dog-friendly building, and it sometimes sounds like a kennel.
Yeah, one thing I learned from Larry King is that anything goes wrong, as long as you acknowledge it, the audience is okay with it. But if you don't acknowledge it, then the audience is like, why doesn't he say something?
Shut that dog up.
Yeah, but you acknowledge it. There's like, oh, he's got dogs. I wonder what kind. And it changes everything. Anyways.
The crazy thing is those aren't even my dogs. Those are down the hall.
Oh. All right. Where can the audience follow up with you?
The best place to start is biohackersguide.com. If they haven't picked up a copy of the free book, we were on back order until this week, and then we ordered another batch. So hopefully we'll still have some of those in stock by the time this runs, or at least we'll have gotten another batch. And then we've got a Facebook page where we're making fun videos and stuff, or there's, and those are the best two places to start, honestly.
Yeah. Your Facebook page is the Anthony.DiClementi. It's that, right? It's the name.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And then biohacking_secrets for your Instagram. Anthony, this has been a powerful episode here. I think a lot of guys are going to stop listening to my show now because of what we've talked about. They're going to take some action, and that's what we want. I don't care.
Listen to it while you're taking action.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've really made a huge impact. Thousands of guys listen to this, and this is a more important topic than ever in so many ways. And I'm so glad I've shared this with you here, Anthony.
I'm so glad you allowed me the opportunity and privilege to share it with everyone. And I had a blast, man. It's been a lot of fun, Andrew. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast. Hundreds of interviews and millions of downloads later, we're continuing to build an international movement, and we're just getting started. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a helpful review in iTunes, because it really helps the podcast grow so we can impact even more men in the world who need this. Guys, this is all about living with purpose, where every day you only do things that matter to you. You wake up, live with purpose, and take massive action towards the life you want. And always remember, love the life you have while creating the life of your dreams. Go to kfmfree.com to get a surprise bonus I've made for my listeners. Again, that's kfmfree.com for something that's changed my life, and I'm offering it to you for free. Also, check out my Amazon best-selling books that I've written for you to help you crush life at kfmauthor.com. Again, that's kfmauthor.com to see all the books I've created to help you break through in life. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, founder of knowledgeformen.com, and I'll see you in the next episode.